There's a little anxiety, leaning back against the wide open.
A man has to walk into his fears. We don't hide our fears. We admit them and we walk into them.
Once you start and you break through that first barrier of fear, you realize you can handle the situation.
Every man has a question. Every man shares the exact same question. Down inside, every man is wondering, have I got what it takes? I was afraid because I was naked, and so I hid. You don't need to be a psychologist to understand a man. Understand that verse, and all the men you know will come into crystal clear focus. Welcome back. In part 2, we're going to take an honest look at the poser that every man creates and the fear behind him. For all of us, like Adam, have gone into hiding. All of us, like Adam, are afraid that we are not what we were meant to be as a man.
Big loop in front.
Yeah, get your harnesses, leg loops in front there.
Which are the leg loops?
All right, hold the waistband like that, step into the feet. There's 1 and 2.
I feel like I'm going to the prom.
Shimmy it up.
Okay.
You may want to loosen that up
Loosen
a bit.
that up some.
I mean, you want a little uncomfortable.
We're there. I'm
Pretty
there.
snug then, huh?
Yeah, leg straps.
Leg straps.
Okay.
Pretty tight.
Tighten them up.
Pull me up. Let's
All
go.
right. All right. You're doing great.
You sure I don't have this on upside down?
We're made in the image of the Lion of Judah. Wild, dangerous, unfettered, and free. Is that how you normally feel? I mean, that's the image of God, no question. That's who He is, no question. I mean, He's leveled whole civilizations. He's fierce, He's love, He is truth. That's not how I feel inside most of the time. You know, yesterday I'm on that rocket of a horse. Part of me is terrified. You know, I'm thinking, if this thing bolts, I'm dead. I'm dead. And it's going to be captured on film and recorded for posterity. Yeah. I mean, how do you feel most days inside?
How about the kitten of Judah?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
The young bobcat?
Yeah, that's right.
And I have to tell you, yesterday, I wrestled with a lot of fear. It was hard for me to enjoy the wildness of the moment because I had so much fear.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get rid of it, and that really bothered me. I didn't see it in you guys, but I felt a lot of fear. Yeah. And I hate that.
And what was that fear mostly about?
I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want to ask to know how to do it. Yeah. So I was fighting between avoiding everything and giving up, and trying to look like I'm part of you guys, and I'll be a part, I know what's going on. Yeah. That was a struggle for me.
What has happened? I mean, we all know it. We're describing the inner life of every man. There's the desire, on the one hand, the desire's true and the desire's God-given. You know, I want to come through. I want to charge the fields at Bannockburn. I want to leap from the falls. I want to slay the dragon and rescue the beauty. I mean, the desire's there, but on the other side, something has gone wrong. There's just no question. We all know it. We are not what we were meant to be. What happened?
What went wrong? It's in Genesis 3. The one tree we're not supposed to eat of, we read that Eve saw the fruit and it was desirable. And he makes a false promise that if we eat of it, we won't die. What's stunning in this passage is the fact that she's being tempted to do something that God has asked her, commanded them both not to do. And where's Adam? What's he doing? What's he doing? He's with her and he does nothing.
He's standing right there.
Yeah. He had what it takes, but he doesn't offer it. He doesn't enter in. He's absent. he might as well not even be there. And then immediately, as a result, something changed. Something was given away. Something was lost. And he saw the world differently.
Yeah.
And he immediately puts fig leaves over, covers himself because he saw that he was naked.
Yeah.
And he says that he was afraid of God.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the poser. I'm afraid. I am.
The first weasel. Dang, I hate that story because it's my story, it's our story. I mean, that's it. And here's the wildness of God in that. You'll know in Genesis 2, God does not tell him, right? Okay, now Adam, Thursday afternoon, about 3 o'clock, you're going to be with Eve down in the orchard, you know. Listen up, Adam. This is the crucial moment of the human race. Okay, now here's what I want you to do. Serpent's going to come, he's going to try and deceive Eve. Here's how to handle it. He doesn't tell him.
Yeah.
God does not tell Adam step by step how to handle this. Why? Because he believes in Adam.
Yeah.
Adam, you have what it takes. You bear my image. You are fierce love.
Yeah.
I trust you to handle this well. He says nothing.
Does that?
He does nothing. Paralysis, right? He wimps out. Boom, that's it. And that is written now into every one of us. We are his sons. We are all the sons of Adam.
There is that fear that when it really comes down to it, when
Yeah.
you're asked to do something or
Yeah.
come through,
Yeah.
in the crucible,
Yeah.
I won't.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Yeah.
oh, do I want to avoid the crucible?
Oh, yeah. So Adam goes into hiding. God comes looking for him, you know, in a beautiful moment of God's pursuit of us. He knows where Adam is, for heaven's sakes, right? He's the God of heaven and earth. He says, Adam, where are you? And Adam says, I was afraid because I was naked, and so I hid. And so what you meet when you meet a man is an elaborate fig leaf. I mean, most of what we call our personality, kind of what we put out there to the world, it's just a brilliant disguise. I mean, this is our story, isn't it? Well, I mean, time to fess up. What are the ways that you've been hiding?
As I look back upon my business career, I had a deep fear within me, and that fear was, you're just not smart enough for business, for what you're doing. And gosh, I mean, from the earliest time that I began on this journey, I tried to cover it up. I tried to mask it. I wanted the world to know that I was a successful developer and I had it all together. Yeah. I knew everything, but yet deep down inside I didn't. But that's the appearance that I wanted to have. Yeah. That's the fig leaf that I hid behind.
When I get really frightened of being exposed, I will just become quiet. But not quiet like I don't know what's happening, rather quiet like I'm pondering.
You're looking very wise.
Yes, and waiting to be invited to give my wisdom. And I hate that about myself, and that is tiring. It is really tiring to hold that up and to be thinking, how do I fake my way through this?
If I'm going to wear a fig leaf, I wish I was the aggressive one.
You'd rather that be the...
Truth is, I'm the passive one, the guy hiding.
The way I have handled my fear over the years is perfectionism. It is just be so good at whatever it is I'm doing, I'll never be exposed. Nobody can ever say, whoa, you didn't handle that very well. Or, you know, we can't really trust John with this project. You know, I mean, just a type AAA, hard charging, you know, lead follower, get out of the way kind of person. I mean, Stacy used to not like to call me at work because she says, you have your work voice on. Yeah, in other words, your fig leaf is showing. You know, this kind of, hello, you know, sort of the professional, this is John Eldredge, top-notch, you know, guy heading up the corporate ladder sort of a thing. Here's the deal, we get really good at this.
Yeah.
That's the point.
Yeah.
Most men are only half aware of their posing because they've gotten so good at it.
Yeah. I'm realizing that the worst thing about the posing is when it works. we can go most of our years living most of our life out of this poser. And so as I'm growing and being more honest with myself, and even being in this fellowship, I've walked away from a lot of it, but I'm still so struck, you guys. Even in this fellowship where I have complete freedom to be myself and to not hide, I do it so much. I live under this pressure of, I want to come through as the servant leader now. And it's where I try to find validation, because I really don't have those questions resolved in my heart of, who am I really? You're going against every instinct in you. Every instinct is saying, don't lean back. You know, your hand will not hold the rope, but that's what you have to do. We have to push into that today.
Bart, how are you feeling about this today?
Well, I mean, this is a totally new experience for me. Of course, you know, when you take anybody to a height like this, it raises anxiety.
This looks crazy.
You know, I have done this a number of times, and every time I do it, I'm haired out.
Yeah.
So there's no posing here.
The poser, that whole fig leaf that we present to the world, simply comes out of the question, have I got what it takes? We don't know. What we do know is that something went wrong.
Are you ready for this?
Let's jump.
Yep.
We know that we're made to come through. We know what the world is asking of us. What we don't know is whether or not we are the real deal.
Guys, this is great. I
Greg,
made it.
you're the real deal.
I am. I am.
Is there anything you wanted to confess? Any last minute sins?
Oh, Craig!
All right. Whoa. Yes. I'm alive. Freedom. Putting your weight back and there's nothing below you. Freedom. Praying to God and just kind of letting yourself go. Hey, Bart.
Hey, Craig!
It's great.
Craig, show your hand.
Yeah. Praise God, I made it. All I want right now, glass of water, and do it again.
How you feeling? That first step is a doozy.
I've flown, but I usually have wings and rudders. Here we go.
All right.
This time, it was just stepping off.
There you go. Nice work.
You know, I spent the day working up to this, and I thought I was okay, but when you get out there on the edge, I mean, there is fear. There is fear.
All right! Bart, you did it, man.
Greg!
Yeah!
Yeah!
This feels good.
Yeah.
Feels good leaning out.
Hi, Gare.
All right. See you guys down there.
At the bottom. Enjoy.
I will. I saw it in all your faces, and it was the same for me. It's just the first second. And if you just pass through the first second of fear, I love that.
Woo! Nice, Gary.
Looking great, Gary.
Does. There's something that says, well, I was stronger than I thought. I had more courage than I thought. So there is something about answering that question in a man's heart about, do I have what it takes? It can only be answered in the trial. And most trials are out here.
All right, Gary.
Oh, it's as good as you guys, I think. It's good,
All right, buddy.
Way to go, man.
Good, Morgan. You're looking set here. This is good. How's it feeling?
Feels a little dicey. A little
You know what? It is a little dicey.
Whoa.
If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
That's right.
What's going on?
See you later, gentlemen.
Right,
You can't kind of try it. You either jump or you don't. You can either choose to fight against it or go with it and trust it. So it's really good to push through those fears and realize that fear is not a bad thing. It's just an invitation to courage.
Woo! Whoa, hold it. Whoa.
Yeah, Morg.
Whoa. I haven't seen you do that before.
Serious air, man.
Nice.
Way to go, buddy.
Nice. Really nice.
Air Morgan.
Inside, everything is screaming, don't do this. Going over, fellas. I'll see you on the good side of things. Every man's got a question. Have I got what it takes? Ow!
There's no question that stepping off is Harry.
Yeah, John.
All right.
The poser's created out of fear, and for one man, it's he's afraid to talk to his wife, so he hides behind the TV.
Woo!
For another man, he may hide even at church.
Yeah, John.
Hey, all right.
Another man's afraid of his boss. He'll just be the yes man kind of guy, even though he's hating his life.
Great job,
Welcome
man.
down.
It's good to be on the ground.
So,
The poser comes from fear. What in your life feels scarier than this?
John, there's a lot of things. I mean, with my wife, are you kidding me? I think I feel more threatened in my relationship with Lori, being honest, being strong, moving towards her. I mean, I'll go off that cliff 100 times over some of the conversations and issues that perhaps we need to talk about.
Yeah.
Or the kids. God, I want my kids to love me, respect me, enjoy me, and to have hard conversations with them.
Right.
I mean, it's just, there are a lot of more difficult cliffs. There really are.
How about when you and your wife have had a pretty major fight and things are maybe a little patched up, but kind of patched over? How about initiating sex with her? Doesn't that feel like, I'm not going there.
Doing what?
I'm not going there. I'm going to wait until she looks very responsive. I'm going to wait until I have a guarantee.
Let's give this 2 or 3 days to kind of,
Absolutely.
Work its way through, and then let's pick it up as if it never happened.
Yeah, right.
I've heard that that's what men do.
That's what some
Yeah.
guys say.
Yeah.
A cliff that's often too frightening for me to go over is just sometimes playing with my kids. I mean, it is. They want me to play with them and do things, and sometimes I feel like I don't know how to play with them. I don't know how to enjoy them. And it's easier for me to say, I have to go do something right now. I have to go work on the car, clean the garage, or work in my office. And I'm afraid of their disappointment. Honestly, the look in their eyes when we just aren't connecting. Well, that can be frightening to me as well.
Yeah, of course.
And that's an area I don't want to fail, and the stakes are very high to me.
Much higher than this.
Right. Yeah, and so I shouldn't avoid it, but the fear is so great, I tend to do that. And I don't want to.
Wild, unfettered, dangerous. What's that last word?
Free?
You look like it. You look like it.
There are major cliffs in any man's life. Whether it's taking on your boss on an issue of integrity, asking your wife out for a romantic weekend, talking to your 18-year-old daughter about her life and her choices. To walk away from the poser requires that we walk into our fears, that we step off, that whatever it is in your life that would produce that reaction of, oh my God, help me, that's where you have to go. That's where we leave the poser behind and begin to live as men.
God comes looking for Adam in the garden. He says, Adam, where are you? He calls him out of his hiding. And that is what he does for any man. He comes to us and he calls us out of our hiding, out of our fears, out of the poser, to walk with him into an authentic, true masculine self, into our true self. So my question is, where are you walking away from the poser? Where are you hearing God say, come on out of that. You don't need to do that anymore. You don't need to hide in that place anymore. Are you aware of that? Do you sense that pull? And do you see how core that is to this journey?
For me, when I get in a situation when something is needed from me, whether it's my wife or my children or work, it's really for me to step out and just go over the cliff and believe that somehow Christ will give me what I need at that moment. That's what I have to do, is I really have to kind of break that fear barrier instantly.
Yeah.
Because I'm convinced in the past I have lost the opportunity. If I respond an hour later, that opportunity is gone for
Yeah.
what I needed to bring.
Yeah. I know what it is for me, that perfectionism, that drivenness, that I will be so on top of everything that nobody can question me. I'll never be exposed. You know, my fig leaf will be so tight, it'll look great, and I'll never be revealed to maybe not have what it takes and not be the man I am. God's saying, John, let go of control. Let go of the perfectionism. Offer the weight of who you are. Speak from your heart. So letting go of control, letting go of the perfectionism, and just being who I am.
John, about a month ago, I was under so much self-imposed pressure with just things that ought to be done for my wife and the community and my job, and you said I was supposed to start dumping some stuff, and it was so great to hear that, but I didn't know what to do. And so Sherry and I took a road trip, and during that time, God really challenged me, and he was calling me into some things, and he gave me that scripture from the book of John, and it said, it's Jesus responding to his mother at the wedding of Cana, and he says, why do you involve me? My time has not yet come. And so on this trip, I had the space to unpack that and say, God, what is that about? Where is that coming from that I can't discern what I ought to be doing and those things that are needs that you haven't called me to? And God was so clear that he told me, he was, again, giving me permission to be young. He was inviting me to spend this season primarily discovering who I truly am, that uniqueness that God has set within me.
I love the picture of an invitation of Christ inviting us into what is our true and deep heart's desire and what happens to be his desire for us. And leaving the poser, I mean, it's an invitation to leave something behind and move towards something. Most of my life was spent trying to avoid being exposed as having nothing, or trying to appear that I did, but more passive than aggressive. And I think a true part of who I am, there is a wit and there's a humor, but I took that and just abused and put more weight and more things into it than God ever intended. What God's inviting me into is to offer the strength of my leadership, my insight, and who and what I am to a community of people that need a shepherd. And for me to be that shepherd, not the poser, not the guy hiding, not the jokester. And it's a great invitation, and I can't wait to move more and more into it.
I think in my past, when I think back to even my earliest childhood, when I was 10, 11 years old, this notion of I had to find my identity and how hard I could work, I think I've released some of that along the way, but it's been slow in going. I've moved away from that, but I haven't released it, and I'm trying to release that in my life of saying I don't have to be the hardest worker. I think God's calling me out to say there's something in your life beyond that, and that's not really who you are.
If you give up being the guy who works the hardest, and Bart, you have lived that. You're the guy who's up first in the morning, you're to bed last in the evening, you dig more holes, you cut more wood, you ride harder and farther than anyone. If you give that up, then what do you have to offer?
Even though there are parts of that that I do enjoy, I think I've had this guilt that that's who you are, and that's the lie in my life that I've been trying to walk away from. And God's saying, I think I've got something more for you.
We will not discover the real weight of our lives until we leave the poser behind. That's why God invites Adam out. That's why he invites us out of the hiding. The poser is in the way of the true masculine journey. And there is no moving forward. The journey stops here until we face the poser, we are honest about how we have lived in hiding and fear, how we're doing it still, and we choose to follow Christ away, out of hiding, into the unknown, into some of our deepest fears, but to discover there our strength, to discover there what we really do bring. That's where the journey goes now.